Welcome back to Movie Plot Crack. Today we are breaking down one of the most anticipated action films of 26, Mortal Kombat 2. A king dies in front of his daughter. A tournament decides the fate of every living soul on Earth. And the man chosen to save humanity is a washed-up actor who really does not want to be there. Spoilers ahead, watch out, and take care. The story opens in the realm of Edenia, a kingdom of deep beauty and ancient pride. King Jade stands beside his young daughter Kitana and carefully places a necklace around her neck. He tells her it is not simply jewelry, but a lifeline connected to Lord Raiden, the god of thunder, and that if she ever calls out to him in a moment of real danger, he will always answer. It is a quiet promise passed from a father who already senses that whatever peace they have will not last much longer. That feeling becomes reality within seconds. The announcement arrives and the name alone changes the atmosphere in the room. Shao Kahn has come to Edenia. Before heading out to face him, Jade turns to his daughter one final time and tells her to stay strong because war has not arrived at their doorstep. It is already inside the gates. To understand what follows, it helps to know the rules that govern this world. Realms do not fall through military force alone. There is an ancient law, older than any king or god currently living, that controls how one realm can claim permanent dominion over another. It is called Mortal Kombat, a sacred tournament in which chosen fighters represent their realm in single combat. If one side accumulates 10 consecutive victories, they earn the right to absorb and rule the defeated realm completely and permanently. Edenia has fought this tournament across generations and lost, match by match, their greatest warriors falling one after another until almost nothing remains. Now they stand at the edge of that 10th defeat, with only one fighter left who can carry the realm's survival on his shoulders. King Jade himself walks onto the battlefield fully aware of what he is walking toward. His opponent is Shao Kahn, the Emperor of Outworld, a being of terrifying physical power who does not simply defeat his enemies, but makes a performance of their destruction. Jade opens by declaring that no one will ever kneel before Shao Kahn. The Emperor's response is to knock the king's statue clean off its base. It is not a fighting technique. It is a deliberate provocation designed to break composure before the real fight begins. It works exactly as intended. Jade's discipline cracks and rage floods in. For one brief moment, it looks like the king of Edenia might actually pull it off, fighting with everything he has, every technique refined over a lifetime, every drop of pride and love for his realm. But Shao Kahn's power does not operate on the same scale. With brutal force, he tears off Jade's fingers and then drives a blade directly through the king's chest. Jade falls in full view of Queen Sindel and in full view of Kitana. Shao Kahn stands over the body and delivers the words that seal the kingdom's fate. Edenia belongs to him now. The sky darkens instantly, and the moon turns a deep bleeding red. Queen Sindel tries to push through the soldiers to reach her husband's body one final time, and they stop her cold. The order comes plainly and without mercy. Kneel or be executed. The surrender moves through the crowd like a wave. Soldiers, courtiers, servants, everyone drops to their knees before the new emperor in a matter of seconds. Everyone except Kitana. She does not move. She walks slowly and deliberately to her father's body and kneels beside him, not in submission, but in grief. She finds a small blue ribbon on his clothing and takes it, pressing it against her chest. It is the only piece of him she can carry. Shao Kahn watches this child refuse to collapse in the ruins of everything she has ever known, and rather than responding with any respect, he tells the crowd that Jade should never have brought her into this world. Then he says the words that will define the next 20 years of her life. From this moment on, she belongs to him, as his daughter. Time moves forward. In the present, we find Kitana mid-session, training with Jade, her closest companion. The two of them move with the ease of people who have done this thousands of times. Jade is elite and relentless, and at first glance, she clearly has the upper hand. She pushes Kitana to the very edge and tells her directly to give up. Kitana does not. Instead, she pulls the blue ribbon from her hair and uses it as a tiny, precisely timed distraction. The window it opens is small but enough. She turns the fight around and wins. Because Kitana's greatest weapon has never been physical strength or speed. It is the thinking behind every action. Walking back through the palace afterward, Jade reflects out loud on something she carries every day. 20 years ago, Shao Kahn chose her personally to serve as Kitana's bodyguard. She was present for all of it. Every loss and every year lived under the shadow of the man who destroyed both their lives. And yet somewhere in the middle of it all, They became something far beyond any title or assignment. They are sisters. To mark the beginning of the tournament, Jade presents Kitana with a gift she clearly put thought into, a fan that looks elegant at first glance and reveals hidden blades underneath, perfectly balanced to match Kitana's specific fighting style. Shortly after, both women stand before Shao Kahn as he formally declares that the tournament has begun. The ancient gods themselves have been called to observe, which signals this is not simply a series of fights. This is a moment with consequences that will ripple across every realm for generations. Then Shang Tsung, the Emperor's sorcerer, steps forward and adds a secondary mission layered on top of everything else. A powerful amulet has been stolen from Raiden's own temple by a mercenary named Kano. It is capable of healing any wound regardless of severity. Wielding it fully requires strength approaching the divine, and in the wrong hands it fundamentally shifts the balance of power between realms. In Outworld's hands, it could make Shao Kahn effectively impossible to defeat. On the opposite side, Lord Raiden has assembled Earthrealm's champions and laid out the full scope of the situation. When the tournament concludes, regardless of outcome, war between realms will follow. The tournament is the last legal mechanism that constrains Shao Kahn. Once the final match ends, nothing holds him back. But Raiden's roster is not yet complete. One champion is still missing, and the person the gods have selected to fill that final slot is, by any reasonable measure, not what anyone would have chosen. His name is Johnny Cage. He is loading his car when Lord Raiden and Sonya Blade materialize directly in front of him. Raiden tells Johnny he has been selected by the gods to serve as one of Earthrealm's champions, and that what is coming will determine the survival of every living person on Earth. Johnny's response is to laugh. Genuinely, he thinks it is an elaborate prank. He starts walking away. Then Raiden opens a portal right there in the parking lot, and reality tears open to reveal another world pressing through the air like a wound in fabric. Johnny stops. It is real, all of it. Raiden tells him to come along and find out what kind of man he actually is. Confronted with something he cannot rationalize, Johnny does what comes naturally and panics visibly. He says he wants no part of this, stating plainly that he does not want to die. Sonya fires back without delay. That is precisely why it is called Mortal Kombat. Johnny pushes back on every angle available. He has no powers, nothing beyond 10 black belts and a career that has clearly peaked. Raiden's patience runs out, and he reminds Johnny with force that Earth has been challenged 9 consecutive times and has lost every single one. Now, 20 years after the last defeat, Shao Kahn is coming for the 10th and final victory. One more win, and Earthrealm is gone permanently. Cole Young steps forward and says something honest. Before joining this fight, he went home and said goodbye to his wife and daughter, the 2 people who matter most. He does not know if he will ever see them again, and that does not stop him, because if he dies protecting them. Losing this tournament does not simply mean losing fights. It means losing Earth and every person still living on it. It does not reach Johnny. Sonya points out that whatever his circumstances look like right now, he is still a man with 10 black belts who could have been genuinely legendary. He thanks them both with complete sincerity and walks away. In Outworld, Shao Kahn conducts a dark resurrection ritual, calling back a fallen warrior in the name of his rule. They bring him Kano's body. Across the realms, while Johnny sits alone in a bar replaying footage of who he used to be, Quan Chi the sorcerer completes the ritual. Kano opens his eyes, and the first thing that surfaces in his memory, with sharp, focused resentment, is Sonya Blade and the moment she took his eye. Back at Raiden's temple, the tournament mechanics are established. 2 fighters are drawn for each match. Winners continue, and losers are eliminated permanently. Sonya Blade is selected as one of Earthrealm's first fighters. At that exact moment, while Johnny sits alone watching his own past on a screen, reality tears open around him, and he is transported to Outworld without his consent. He wanted nothing to do with any of this, but here he is, dropped into a foreign realm with no understanding of the terrain or the rules. Kitana finds him almost immediately and delivers the fastest possible briefing. Each flame marks an active fighter, one side for each realm. It ends when one side runs out of participants entirely. Before Johnny can process even the basics, Kitana attacks. His options reduce to defending himself as best he can and buying time, which mostly involves scrambling onto a rooftop to get a few seconds of breathing room. But Kitana has spent her entire life training for moments exactly like this. She controls every exchange from start to finish, and then rather than ending it the way she could, she stops. She takes the win cleanly, but does not deliver the finishing blow. Johnny gets sent back to his team barely conscious, with absolutely no understanding of how close the margin just was. In a separate match at the same time, Queen Sindel has entered the tournament for Outworld. Her opponent is Sonya Blade. What becomes immediately clear is that Sindel has not simply adapted to Shao Kahn's world. She has absorbed it completely. She tells Sonya openly that the Emperor showed her pleasures ordinary life could never have provided. Her ability in combat is genuinely overwhelming. She controls sound itself and converts her voice into weaponized shockwaves that keep Sonya at a distance and dismantle every strategy before it can form. Sonya is tough and technically exceptional, but the power gap is severe. She finds the window anyway through sheer calculated grit and puts Sindel down. Earthrealm wins the first match. When Johnny regains consciousness at the temple, Raiden delivers a straightforward assessment. He has been eliminated from Mortal Kombat. Under normal rules, Kitana should have killed him. He survived through luck that cannot be repeated. Across Outworld, Kano locates Quan Chi and demands his eye back. Quan Chi delivers exactly that and nothing more. The eye is restored along with the laser capability. The amulet is not offered, and Quan Chi makes the distinction without apology. Raiden then approaches Johnny privately with something unexpected. Not a strategic argument, but something closer to genuine belief. He tells Johnny that out of every warrior available across every generation of Earth's history, the gods chose him specifically. There is something inside him that has not been reached yet, a potential that exists and has not been activated. Finding it is not optional anymore.